What is up, guys, girls, and dank memers? The Squire here, and today we're going to go over patch 5.14 notes, give kind of the rundown, figure out what's going on, who's going to be popular, who's going to die off, who everyone's going to think is trash, but really is actually pretty good, which is probably everyone. Okay, so the main thing is Bilgewater Burning Tides. That's the biggest thing. Awesome new lore event thing. You got champion updates for Gangplank and Misfortune. Whole rework for Gangplank, which is cool. 6 skins, icons, wards, the works, ARAM map, which looks sweet. New announcer for all game modes, and new music, which is going to be sweet. So you can earn icons and stuff by doing certain like mini quest things that they have on the website. Go in your client, check that stuff out. Other big thing is going to be the HUD update, which a lot of people are upset about for right now. But I think the biggest thing is it just needs time, and eventually everyone will get used to it, and I think everyone will slowly realize that it's way better than the last one. It looks a lot cleaner at the very least, and the best part is you can move teammates around in the tab menu, so you can compare CS better. Okay, so now we got Gangplank update, awesome new kit, awesome new visual effects. I like the voice personally, some people not so much, but you know, that's subjective. A lot of true damage actually in his kit. His ult upgraded with Death's Daughter. The first shot in the middle does bonus true damage, and his passive makes his next melee attack do true damage burn, which is pretty interesting. I noticed with him and the new Fiara kit that they announced yesterday that they're adding in true damage in on a lot of champions, which is different. I mean, there's not a lot of champions right now that have true damage, and to see where they go with that is going to be really cool. Overall, I think his kit's way better, and I think it'll bring him more play. I think he still has the same kind of feel with him, with plundering gold with your Q and removing CC with your oranges, as well as having a lot of these movement speed buffs while not being truly mobile. So I think he's going to be really fun to play, and I think he actually might see a rise in popularity after even just the initial rework. Misfortune, her Q, which is her best trading ability in lane, which makes her laning so strong, is now even stronger. So her early to mid-game team fights and her laning is just going to be fantastic, like it is now. Her main issue is just that late game she kind of falls off. She's low range, immobile, but her W does help that now. Her W on activation gives her strat, which I believe scales with level now or something like that. They didn't add it in here, but I saw in PB it did. So now she has some semi-form of mobility besides her passive when she's not in combat. So in combat she has something, which is nice. And it's a lower cooldown. Make It Rain now has a stronger early slow, which is really good because before it was kind of useless, and now it's a lot stronger. A lot of people think MF isn't that good, but I actually think she's semi-alright. I mean, I saw even like Sneaky playing her, and he was doing fantastic, but I mean, it's hard to compare, I guess, because you could say that he's an LCS level 80 carry, and he maybe wasn't playing against the best. But, some champions just aren't as bad as people think. Bug change, bug fix for the charm. Monsters would act really weird sometimes when you would charm them. My goodness. Nothing too crazy, just a nice little bug fix. Alright, so passive's attack speed portion is now on his W. Numbers wise, I think it's pretty much the same thing. I'd have to double check, but I'm pretty sure it just helps. So you don't necessarily have to go for cooldown reduction to get attack speed. You just have to max his W. So they're kind of pigeonholing you into maxing W second, but I think that was better for a DPS mage anyway. Just because it let him get out more soldiers. His E no longer knocks up the first champion hit. Kind of a major nerf. Some people say this messes up his combo, and I could see that totally. I guess at least it still gives his the shield. I don't know, this is interesting. I think he'll still be really strong. The way his kit works is just naturally strong. The one thing I do think is nice about this that's kind of hidden power is that he does not have to build cooldown reduction. Nowadays, what a lot of people are doing is Rylai's, and that is becoming more popular with the AP changes. And I think this allows him to build those items better. You could maybe go 1 or 2 Doran's rings and go into a Rylai's, especially if you get blue buff from your team. And his soldiers do apply Rylai's and Leandru's, so I think there's going to be some changes for Azir, but I think he's still going to be really strong just because of the nature of his kit. Darius E gives a little bit of vision when you do the pull. That's nice. Echo, so well, not the darkest timeline. Oh, that's funny. Anyway, so basically what's going on is they feel like he needs a little buff. So they're making his Q have less mana, which is better for his laning, like if he's mid or top, and then his face dive is lower cooldown early game. So it said what they want is they kind of want him to be more of the assassin and less tank Echo, but it's not really that bad. He's not out of control. I hardly see Echo anymore, sadly. Elise buffs, stuns higher early on, goes to the same, so this helps her early game presence, which is already pretty strong. Spiraling damage is magic damage instead of physical. On hit ratio is higher, and movement speed's higher. So, not the biggest of buffs. The stun one's really nice. You get 0.6 extra at level 1. And it's higher all the way up until old rank 4. So, I mean, that's really nice. And the AP buffs here give her a little more damage, which is needed. Evelyn nerfs, kind of interested by this on the Q damage, just because she wasn't super strong late game, but she does have the potential to snowball early on, and having a higher slow is really nice, especially that 80% at late game. That's gonna pretty much cement people in if you can get a nice 5-man ulti, which is really mostly what she's used for late game anyway. The Qs were kind of useless. Hurricane's now in recommended items for Kalista. That's awesome. And then these are basically making her feel smoother after they did some changes the last patch. It just kind of made her feel clunkier than she should. I still think she's really strong. I know a lot of professional players still think she's really strong. I wouldn't jump on the hate Kalista train. I think she's totally fine right now, and her kit just makes it so she's an insanely strong AD carry always. High utility and high damage. Nerf / bug fixes to Rumble. Yes, it is meant to be bug fixes, but it technically does hurt him. Basically, there's a little bug where with his Q, if you were outside of the range but just barely, it would still hit you, and you could get a lot of trading damage in lane, as well as maybe kill someone that you shouldn't have. And it just doesn't damage untargetable enemies, which is a major bug. So Fizz pull, Vlad pull, stuff like that. Rise nerf, so stack duration, you have to use his spells fast enough together to be able to stack his passive and get to the 5 things. His Q damage is lower a lot, especially at the highest rank, 40 damage less, which is his main damage spell that he's spamming the most. And his E damage and AP ratio are down. I mean, his W is still super strong, and his kit in general, having the machine gun mode, especially alongside your ult, you do massive amounts of AoE damage, and it's good sustained. He still has his weak points where early on, if he's in a bad lane matchup, he can get stomped and never really recover. But the fact is, if he can get to late game, he's going to be strong regardless of what these numbers are, just by the way his kit is based. Maybe he won't be permabanned, but I still think he'll be really strong. Tom buffs because not everyone figured out how to play him, but I still think he's ridiculously strong. This is kind of stupid, actually. 260, 40 bonus damage on his Q, which is insane, especially as support. You're maxing that first for sure. And then late game, he does more damage with the passive on his ult, which was already insanely strong. And then the cooldown is lowered early on for his ult, which I agree with that one. It was kind of long, especially because you have to use it right for it to be super useful. The flank potential on it is awesome. He's really strong in general, and I think his damage was high enough. The only thing I could see is that his W is not really reliable for damage. His E doesn't provide damage, and his passive doesn't provide damage. So his Q and his ult passive are technically all that he has. Actually, with the W spit, it still does insane amounts of damage for a tank. These will probably get reverted at some point once everyone starts picking him up, but I think he's insanely strong right now. So pick him up while you still can. Nice buff to Vayne. If you tumble and like hit something, but like something died, like while the bolt was in flight, it wouldn't go on cooldown, which sucked if you were like using it to run away and you tried to auto something and I don't know, the minion died. Anyway, it'll just help her Q go on cooldown the way it really should. Nice little bug fix, nothing too crazy. So Steel Tempest Whirlwind now properly applies on hit effects to the first target, just like it should. Just a little bug fix. So Hunter's Machete buff, more mana when in combat, so mages and stuff like that should hopefully, or even spell-based junglers like Pantheon and Wukong. You could go. I play a lot of Wukong, and you could go really easily. It's a nice buff. I don't know if it's gonna change a whole lot, but it is helpful. This is an interesting change. So it's no longer from physical to magic damage. Sadly, rest in peace, crit AP Gangplank, or whatever you want to call it. That was fun. But good news is it is killing Ezreal mid, which was retarded. Ooh, that's nice. So for mages that already have trouble clearing, dealing double damage to the first monster hit is really useful, as well as it only applies on monsters, kind of sucks, but hopefully the mana part still stays. I think that was a cool part, like if you use it on like a minion wave or something, it still counts, or an enemy champion, or tower, I guess, since it just says AoE damage. But so basically this is a massive buff to Nidalee and Diana's clear time, if you are running Runeglaive on them in the jungle. Other than that, this is really just a laner nerf. This is a super interesting item. We're gonna have to see how it goes. It's kind of Callista EU. Bind to someone else, and then what it does is it stacks up kind of static shivy, I guess. Whenever you're near someone, it charges up stacks until it reaches 100, and then if you attack or use abilities, it charges up faster. And then so when it's maxed out, if you do damage to something, it takes all the charges. It does and then it boosts your AP and crit chance. So AP is great for supports, and then crit chance is great for any AD carry. I mean, you have every other auto attack you basically should be critting. I mean, that's an ideal world, but if you already have crit, that's getting you at 100 right there. I mean, if you have your 2-item spike of IE and whatever, Phantom Dancer or Static or Yelmoose, you're probably hitting 100% with that. And the AP's nice on certain champions. I could see I guess on maybe Kog'Maw or something like that. I'm interested to play around with this and see who it will be really, really good on and who it'll be alright on. The total cost: Glacial Shroud's 950, Amp Tomes 420 or 435, Amp Tomes 435, so 870, 950, 100, So I can't do math. Probably about 2,500. Oh my goodness. Anyway, I wish it would say. So not too insanely cost crazy, but you get mana, armor, AP, and CD. Great support item. Stats alone. We'll have to see how it works out, but I think this is a great idea. Now, Dragon and Baron, this is cool. A lot of people are saying like this takes away skill or something, but basically, you could always figure out when someone got Dragon or Baron. You could just hover over them and see when they got it and figure out when the timer is. With Baron, you could look at it and see how long left it has and just count backwards. Basically, this just lets everyone know when you get Dragon or Baron. I mean, you can still sneak it, and that's really cool, but, like, so you don't have to worry about, you know, vision's still important. It's not like people, because they have these timers instantly, are going to be able to mess around or whatever. I don't know. I'm just thinking of some stupid shit people could say. But overall, this just makes sense, honestly. Just straight up. Now my dog's barking. Scuttlers, this make it easier for everyone to reduce it. This is good for junglers. They can go do it quicker early on. So someone with a slow makes it easier, but someone with no CC at all, I'm thinking of Wukong, doesn't really benefit. I mean, they kind of do, but it's not anything huge. But at least Charms and Taunts will lock it instead of messing it up. Taunt wouldn't even reduce it before I tried with Shen. Yeah, this is just makes it easier for junglers to do Scuttle Crabs early on. Death recap, instead of showing the 12 or the 3 lowest sources, it's now going to show the 3 highest. There's a bug fix there. Then maybe people will stop with the dank memes on the death recap. You never know though. Apparently Syndra could pick up Baron with her W. I wish I could have seen that happen. Just some other little bug fixes. And then you have Captain Fortune, Cutthroat Graves, Cut Purse, Twisted Fate, Sea Hunter Aatrox, Rogue Admiral Garen, and Corsair Quinn. Awesome skins. This event I'm really excited to play around with. It looks like lots of fun. I know some merch is on sale. And overall, it looks to be a great patch, and I can't wait to play with the HUD and mess around with Zeke's Harbinger. I hope you guys all have a great time. I can't wait to see what comes out of this in competitive play as well as solo queue. And thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, bullshit. And then maybe I can be sponsored by some tool of a company in the future. I'm just kidding. Have a great day, guys.